The movie opens in Poland as 18-year-old Tadek dodges a ticket collector on a train. He is traveling to see his older stepsister but doesn't have a ticket. After a short chase, the teenager decides to get off before the train reaches the next station. Just as he jumps off, rolling to relative safety, a local Romani girl named Irmina notices him. Tadek, who is in town for summer vacation, makes his way to an old apartment where he used to live with his mother and stepsister, Anka. Ever since the death of their mother, Anka has lived in the apartment all by herself. The teenager also takes his sister's favorite pistachio ice cream on the way to the apartment. Soon after, he reaches the apartment and dabs some perfume on his neck before ringing the bell. Anka, who is expecting her boyfriend, opens the door topless, but quickly covers her bare chest when she sees her stepbrother. After a brief awkward greeting, she invites him indoors, but says she was not expecting to see him. By this time, it is clear that Tadek is attracted to his stepsister. He gawks at her while she gets ready to go out on a date. On the other hand, Anka notices that her brother has now grown up. After a few moments, her boyfriend, Andrzej, arrives outside the apartment and honks loudly. She tells her brother that Andrzej is a nice guy, but he points out that she has a history of dating lousy men. Before heading out, she gives him a flirtatious peck on his lips. While his sister isn't home, Tadek tries to enter his old room but finds it locked. He peeps in through the keyhole and sees a lot of boxes stored in the room. With nothing else to do, he moves the furniture to his liking and lounges on the chair all afternoon. Late that night, Anka and Andrzej return to the apartment completely drunk. The duo flirtatiously play with each other and enter the bedroom where Tadek is sleeping. Asking her stepbrother to go to the kitchen, the duo wastes no time in getting intimate. On the other hand, the teenager closes the door behind him and falls asleep on the couch. When Tadek wakes up the next morning, his sister's boyfriend is getting ready for work. Andrzej is a charming guy and immediately tries to strike up a conversation with the teenager. Revealing that he will soon marry Anka, Andrzej promises that he will be friendly with the youngster. Later, Anka wakes up and inquires why Tadek decided to visit her all of a sudden. It is revealed that she had sent him away to live with their aunt a few years ago. She then takes a few coins and tells him to grab lunch outside. Outside, near a playground, Tadek sees some beautiful girls, including Irmina, lounging in the sun and attempts to strike up a conversation. While other girls are dressed skimpily, Irmina is all covered up. After the new boy leaves, she jokingly tells the other girls that someday she will marry him. She then bids them goodbye and heads for home. But before she reaches home, she changes her jeans into a long, more traditional skirt as per the custom of her family. At home, Irmina notices a car parked outside. Although she isn't privy to the information at that moment, the vehicle belongs to Lajos, a local leader from the Romani community. He has lunch with her family and seems interested in marrying her. However, the lunch is interrupted by a sudden attack from a rival gang who break his car's window and flee. Meanwhile, at the apartment, Anka brings home a new dress, which she tries on and shows to Tadek. He compliments her, pointing out that the dress suits her really well, but she reveals that she doesn't have enough money to buy it and will have to return it the next day. As the days pass, Tadek tries to impress his stepsister by cooking good food. He even jokingly suggests that having the same mother but different fathers does not make them blood-related. However, Anka is in no mood for such talk and curtly asks how long he is going to stay with her. She points out that the apartment does not have enough space to house them both. Slightly offended, Tadek demands she remove the storage boxes from his room so that he can get a proper space to live for the summer. That night, Tadek finds photos of Anka in scanty clothing and watches them with great interest. The following day, two men arrive and start packing all the stuff from Tadek's room. The teenager grabs one of the books in a box and notices that it is an ultra-nationalistic propaganda book. He then sees Andrzej, who tells the teenager that he can have his room back in a friendly tone. When the charming man says that one should fight for their space, Tadek interrupts him and says he is a pacifist and that his mother was a hippie. Amused, Andrzej jokes that such people live in fantasy land before revealing that he is going away for a few days on a business trip. Later that afternoon, Tadek plays football with some of his local friends, including Gering, who works under Andrzej. He tells the teenager that his sister's boyfriend is very well connected politically and can get anything done locally. In a shocking twist, Gering then reveals that Andrzej is married with 2 kids and regularly visits his family who live far from their town. Following this, Tadek immediately goes to his stepsister and reveals everything he heard about her boyfriend. To his surprise, Anka already knows Andrzej is married with 2 kids. She blames his wife for ruining his life and warns Tadek not to draw conclusions about things he doesn't know. She then reveals that she called their aunt earlier, who told her that Tadek was supposed to come back a few days ago. Embarrassed, the teenager makes up an excuse, pointing out that he wants to stay here as all the good universities are nearby. But his stepsister sees through his innocence and marches to his bed, where she uncovers her underwear beneath the mattress. She calls him a pervert and orders him to find a hostel to live in. Suddenly, the argument is interrupted by the government electrician who is waiting downstairs to hand her the bill. He apprehends her for not paying her electricity bill for the past several months and tries to touch her inappropriately. After pushing the man away, she asks for a week to pay the bill. When she returns upstairs, Tadek is furiously packing his bags to leave. It is revealed that a few years ago, Anka had sent him away to live with a distant aunt so that she could have the apartment for herself and her boyfriend of that time. Burdened by this guilt, she stops her half-brother from leaving and pours her heart out. The siblings then embrace each other while crying. After a few days, Tadek starts working part-time and delivers vegetables at the local market. There, he meets Irmani once more, and the two finally have a conversation, mostly because the gypsy girl is a confident extrovert. After a while, when they are sitting alone, she reads his palm and tells him that his love life will be messy. Irmani then boldly announces that she will be his wife. Amused by this, Tadek jokingly asks her to teach him how to read palms too. When he returns home, the teenager finds Andrzej having intercourse with another woman. They notice him, but Tadek quickly locks the door from outside and runs to the streets below. Despite Andrzej pleading to open the door, the teenager starts making a circus out of the situation, telling all the neighbors what he has done. Soon afterwards, Anka arrives and sees what's happening. Enraged, she tells her boyfriend to leave her alone and never come back to the apartment. Despite this, Andrzej remains relatively calm and says that he will be back after a few days to clear this misunderstanding. That night, Tadek goes to Anka's bed and consoles her. She doesn't get angry at the teenager, but asks him to return to his bed. The following evening, when Tadek returns home after dropping off Andrzej's stuff, he finds his sister cleaning off the spilled ice from the fridge. She tells him that the electricity to their house has been cut off as she hasn't paid the bills for several months. Following this, Tadek starts doing several side hustles, but only manages to make a low amount of money. While distributing brochures in the market, he notices Irmani, who is returning from an award ceremony where she was felicitated. She asks him to meet her later if he wants to make money. A few days later, Tadek walks to the neighborhood where Irmani's house is located. It is an area where a large community of Romani people live. As soon as he enters the neighborhood, several boys surround him and threateningly ask if he belongs to the gang that attacked local leader Lajosh's car a few weeks ago. Fortunately, Irmani arrives and saves the teenager by lying that his father is a policeman. After dragging her new friend out of trouble, Irmani tells him that she knows how to make good money in a short amount of time. That night, the duo climb to the roof of a warehouse and steal an expensive carpet. The following day, Tadek tries to sell the carpet at the local flea market at $1,000, but the shopkeeper insists he will only pay $300. Disheartened, he leaves the deal and tells Irmani that he cannot sell the carpet at such a low price. The Romani girl then tells him to watch how a deal is struck. She goes to the shopkeeper and tells him that it is a Turkish carpet. She then points out that the wool used in the carpet is good for kids as it does not cause allergies. Eventually, the shopkeeper agrees to buy it for $650, which is still $150 less than the amount they need for the electricity bill. She then promises him to bring the rest of the money after an hour. Back at her home, Irmani serves food to Lajos, whose visits are now frequent. She knows he intends to marry her, something she does not want at all. Irritated, she tells him she wants to become a doctor and hates music. Lajos replies that gypsy women cannot become doctors. The men simply laugh her away, which deeply hurts her. Even her mother refuses to take her side, as traditionally, women have always been constricted inside the household. Enraged, she steals $150 from her father's pocket and goes out. Shortly afterwards, Irmani gives the money to Tadek, who then finally pays the electricity bill for his apartment. He thanks the Romani girl and tells her she can always count on him. That night, when the lights flickered back on in their apartment, Anka finally breathed a sigh of relief. She takes a bath while Tadek brings her a small tub of her favorite ice cream. Suddenly, the doorbell rings and he goes downstairs only to find Irmani waiting outside. She seems slightly disturbed and wants to talk to him. However, the teenager says that he is busy at the moment and she leaves somewhat disappointed. He runs back upstairs, strips down, and jumps into the bathtub with his stepsister. This angers Anka, who yells at him to maintain boundaries and walks away, leaving him embarrassed. However, that very night, Anka approaches her stepbrother and tells him that she knows he wants her. She adds that it is not natural for a brother to have desires for his sister. Heartbroken, the teenager starts sobbing and reveals that he loves her and wants to be with her. After a brief silence, Anka then climbs on top of him and the two have intercourse, as she thinks it may calm him down. The following day, things start to go south as Andrzej returns to town. At first, Tadek manages to fool him by saying that his sister isn't present in the house and thus cannot meet him at the moment. However, when Tadek returns after buying 2 movie tickets for him and his sister, he finds Andrzej casually waiting in the kitchen. The local leader then reveals that it was Anka who had called and asked him to come back. Enraged, Tadek yells that he will either kill Andrzej or sacrifice his own life. That night, Andrzej takes Anka to a party thrown by a powerful politician who is soon to become a minister in the central government. Tadek is also present at the party, although nobody notices him as he watches from afar. While dancing, the politician inappropriately touches Anka. She ignores it initially, but later complains about the behavior to Andrzej. To her surprise, he brushes off her concerns and reveals that he might soon become a deputy minister. This does not calm Anka down, who loudly throws a snarky comment and storms off to the washroom. Soon afterwards, Andrzej follows her and insists that the incident wasn't a big deal. Instead, he orders Anka to go to a hotel with the soon-to-be minister and make him happy until he joins them. When she flat-out refuses to agree to it, he angrily grabs her by the hair, but quickly regains composure. He apologizes for his behavior and says he will take Anka home right now. But when the duo comes out of the washroom, he puts her in a taxi where the politician is already waiting for her. This becomes the straw that breaks the camel's back as she steps out of the cab and slaps Andrzej. She then gets back into the taxi and yells at the politician to leave her alone. Betrayed and humiliated, she returns home, closely followed by her stepbrother. But she does not allow him to enter the apartment, and both the siblings end up breaking down on either side of the door. Unfortunately for Tadek, the night is about to get even worse. In the Romani neighborhood, a huge wedding party is taking place where Irmani is getting married to the local leader, Lajos. The celebration is interrupted by a rival gang who toss petrol-filled bottles into the wedding, causing several fires to break out and disrupting the entire party. Tadek, aimlessly strolling nearby, sees Gering, his friend and Andrzej's henchman, running away from the Romani neighborhood. When the two friends meet, Gering gleefully reveals that he just participated in disrupting a wedding party, referring to Irmani and her family with a racial slur. Enraged, Tadek punches him and drags him to the floor, pouring out all the frustration pent up in him. Next, Tadek goes to the spot where he and Irmani used to hang out regularly and starts crying. He is soon joined by the Romani girl, who is still in her bride's dress. When he asks her if she will run away with him, Irmani kisses him and tells him that she wouldn't be getting married today had he not ignored her all the time. It is too late now, and she goes back to her home where her husband-to-be is waiting. When the dreadful night is finally over, Tadek returns home, emotionally broken. Anka, who is waiting in the kitchen, tells him that his bags have been packed so that he can leave. Just as the credits begin to roll in, she asks him to join her for the last bites of the pistachio ice cream that he had brought a few days ago. This movie is a tale of an orphaned young boy who entertains an unhealthy yearning for his older half-sister, who is emotionally and financially unstable. It also shows how life's misfortunes are often the product of our own self-destructive habits. That's it for this movie recap. Let us know in the comments what you would do if you found out one of your loved ones is in a relationship with a problematic person. Would you confront them head-on at the risk of losing them, or find another way to save them?